Those who don't know me is Dr. T. Leon Williams, and I've had the pleasure for 20 years of working in higher education, and I've worked at three prestigious universities. I've worked at Ohio Northern University in Ada, Ohio. I've worked at Buena Vista University in Storm Lake, Iowa, and most recently I used to work at Elon University in Elon, North Carolina. And I have earned the right to be able to say I've accomplished 20 years of higher education advising students all over the country. It's been my pleasure to just meet students from various walks of life, various backgrounds, various academic levels, different high schools, rural students, inner city students, students who grew up in a private education, those who were in a public education, suburban kids, inner city kids. I've helped advise and help students matriculate to graduation for 20 some years. And my colleague, Melissa Jordan, and I, when I met her at Elon University, she was helping to sharpen my skills, so it allowed me to put some of the things that we were practicing at Elon University into a book. And so I want to introduce to you the first year college experience handbook, Strategies for Academic Success and Character Development. This is a very important conversation that we're about to have. So I want you to sit back. I need you to have pencil and paper. Okay, get your notebook. This will be geared mainly towards high school graduates who are heading to college, community college, two-year institutions, or four-year, and those who want to do advanced years to help with their academic studies. But most importantly, all right, so it's not just for high school students going to college, but I'm going to be talking about the epidemic that we're dealing with right now, and the COVID-19 and the uncertainty of academics and how to really be successful. In another week or two, I'm going to invite my son in, who is a high school student who did very well with the structure that we put together when he was asked and forced to stay home. So I'm going to be talking to high school students as well as graduates who are headed to college. All right. Now, this is a 6-week free course. All right. So I've just summarized the book and put it all into 6 lovely weeks, so I can just get you ready. Most colleges have already decided to move up their fall semester to early August. So these 6 weeks will run you up until about the first week in August. So it should get you at least ready with some foundational things that'll help you become more successful and reach the goals that you have as you think forward into your fall semester. So here's the book. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, etc. I recommend that you get the book at some point, all right? But a lot of it I'm going to cover in our 6 weeks. Now, I'm also offering, during the fall semester, I'll be putting out another blurb. This is a free session, but I will also serve as your tutor in the academic session, okay? And more information about that will be coming forward. So I want to be able to walk with you through your semester, okay? So here we go. Here's every Sunday at 6 o'clock for the next 6 weeks, next 5 weeks now. We're going to be talking about the first year college experience. Here's my contact information if you want to screenshot it or just save this video for another day, but you can reach me via email. You can also text me if you want further conversation. I'll leave all of these posts up on the website so that people can have the right information going forward in order to contact me. So let's get started. And remember, we're talking about this in a lot of different ways. First, we're talking about it in such a way that in the fall, you walk onto a college campus. Okay? I know that the COVID-19 has had a huge spike in recent weeks. Okay? Due to some of the decisions that we have made. So colleges may make the decision to keep us home for this fall. So I'm going to talk to you in how to be successful in both settings. All right? Our session is 1 hour, so hopefully this will help you out here. So here we go. Laying the foundation. This is one of the first things. There's a lot of work to do before you ever arrive on a college campus. Okay? There's a lot of internal work that you need to do. You have to understand right now, practice, here it is at the end of June, heading into July. Even in your family, even in your relationships with your friends and so on, even on social media, start asking critical questions. See, deep thinking doesn't just turn itself on and turn itself off. Deep thinking is a consistent practice that you would start now. So whenever you watch the news, whenever the family is having a discussion, if you're in a relationship, ask critical questions. It is now the time to start switching the brain over into a intellectual, academic environment or realm, if you will. So you have to ask critical questions. You can still have fun. You can still have this summer vacation. 4th of July is coming up. I completely understand that. But you got to start challenging yourself with asking critical questions. Parents, if you're watching, allow your son or daughter to ask critical questions. They're growing up. They're going to go off to college. Okay? They're going to be by themselves. They're going to be influenced by peers and friends. And so if you allow them now that space and that confidence to ask critical questions, when they get into their peer circles, then they'll be more comfortable to ask critical questions before making an irrational decision. Okay? Another thing that I'm seeing with working with 17, 18-year-olds, you got to give yourself permission to try, right? Give yourself permission to try. That means, hey, I want to set myself up for success. But I got to give myself permission to try. I can't listen to all the chatter, all the noise. You barely made it out of high school. You may not do well. Those who are haters, those who are critical of you, those who don't want the best for you. Give yourself permission to try. I need to do my best, and I need to release myself from any stress, anxiety, because I'm here to put my best effort forward. Challenge yourself to be a conscious student. There's nothing more important than for a college president to be able to go to a meeting and speak highly about his or her students on his or her campus, that my students are engaged, they're critical thinkers, they're problem solvers, they're active in their community, they're volunteers. This is the next generation of leaders. This is what a college president wants to report out to his board of trustees. And that should be backed by the statistics of the students' matriculation rate to graduation, students' GPA, etc. So challenge yourself to be conscious because it benefits the entire environment. If you take ownership of being a conscious student, a student that's aware, a student that's engaged, if you take ownership of that, and I'm your counterpart in your classroom, and I take ownership of that, look at the environment in which we create. But if you come in there with mess and silliness and not focus, and you don't ask necessarily in-depth questions, and you run into another person that has that same demeanor, now that circle, that environment becomes a very slow progressing environment. And then you guys will find others just like you. And now it's a group of 10 of slow progressing. I'm not talking failure, but slow progressing. You need to be in an environment, an inner circle that is very strong, very progressive, forward thinkers, conscious people, aware of what's going on. Take advantage of all the learning community has to offer to you. All right, what does that mean? Let's say you arrive on campus, okay? And you know there's a library. You know there's a department for academic help or support. You know there are a multicultural center, or you know there's student affairs. and there are professionals trained to help you. You know that there's counseling there, right? You know if you have a learning disability, most campuses, if not all, have some resources and some techniques to help you with learning disabilities. If you're dealing with depression or so on and those type of things, there's someone there to help you with those things. You have to take advantage of the entire learning community. Now, what if you don't have to report this fall and you're learning from home? All right? You could be learning from home. Those same resources that you would have at your fingertips in college are also at your fingertips in your community. So there are parents that maybe you can talk to about your situation. All right. So you simply replace professors to some degree or the support staff on a college campus with parents, with loved ones, with friends. And this COVID-19 situation will change how our community comes together. There have to be some parents who come together and create networks because students are going to need that student services staff to help them matriculate to graduation from home. So there may be someone in your community who has that background, a trusted friend, a trusted neighbor. So whatever you don't have at your access from home, you create that with the resources in your community. That's why it's so important to have these resources now while you're in high school, because you may need to grab hold of them as the colleges make their decision whether to bring students back to campus or not. Here we go. Strengthen who you are by what you do. A lot of people talk about their goals, their ambition, the things they want to accomplish, the objectives of their life, and from an academic standpoint. Strengthen who you are by what you do. It's not all about words. It's all about words transferring into action. So important that your words transfer over to action. So if you're going to get a 4.0, understand there's a process in achieving a 4.0. If you're going to get a 3.5, understand there's a process that demands your attention. What that means is you're going to have structure in your life to achieve that 3.5. You're going to have to be able to say no sometimes to achieve that 3.5. You're going to have to be so disciplined and so focused on your schedule and your agenda and your goals and your objectives. Because remember, college can be very distracting. And so I want you to understand you have to strengthen who you are by what you do. Know that every opportunity to improve is available to you. Every opportunity to improve is available to you. Don't get stuck in when it doesn't. Don't get stuck in when it doesn't work out for you the first time. A lot of students used to come to my office and used to say, "I'm failing at this. I took my first 2 or 3 tests and I didn't do well at any of them. I'm not used to getting bad grades. I come from a high school and it was easy and I got all A's." And I say, "Well, listen, student A, you're in college now. So it's going to take a little bit more effort. It's going to take a different skill set. It's going to take for you to dig inside of yourself and bring out the best in you. College is supposed to bring forth that harness information, that harness education that's inside of you. Know that every opportunity to improve is available to you. There are no closed doors. I'm going to say it again. There are no closed doors. You can open all of those doors because there's always a chance to do better. But here's the difference. You have to start with a do better, I am better, I am going to be successful mindset. So my teaching gets you in front of the test, in front of the quiz, in front of the homework. We don't operate reactively, even though we can develop some skills to rebound. But the teaching that I offer, the advising and coaching that I offer gets you in front. Okay? You got to know your limitations and boundaries. This is so important. Know your limitations and your boundaries. This is why this is important. Not everyone can go out on Saturday. No, let's go Friday. Not everyone can go out on Friday and then go out again on Saturday and then try to do homework on Sunday. Because you may not have the mental, intellectual capacity to bring that brain activity over into an academic setting. You kind of put your brain in the drawer Friday on your last class at 2 o'clock. Then you say, it's the weekend. So I'm going to kick it. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to have fun. And then you do the same on Saturday. Plus you sleep in. Now on Sunday, you're saying, brain, wake up. Wake up, I need you now. And the brain is like, we haven't done that for a few days. I'm not quite ready. Okay? Also, your physical ability to cope with being up now, going to the library, staying focused and concentrating. Here's what I'm saying. Know your boundaries and limitations. You have to understand, I can't go out and then come back and study the next day. I can't give Friday and Saturday. I can only give Friday because my brain don't work like that. See, too often we acculturate to our environment and the people that we're around through peer pressure. And what happens is we begin to take on the responsibility, the personality, the behavior of our circle, not knowing that we don't have the mental, intellectual capacity to come out of that environment and adjust. Now, there are some very gifted students who can kick it all weekend and do very well in college. Very well. You got to know your boundaries and limitations. Because obviously they know theirs. They know how to turn it on and turn it off. I was one of those students, I couldn't. I wasn't a going out person, so I didn't go out, and it took a lot of time to understand very little. So I had to spend more time concentrating on what I was supposed to do. Okay? It's never too early to ask for help. Hey, remember, we're working on the proactive side of things. Listen, it's never too early to ask for help. What I'm going to say to you is this. If you have already reached out to your university, and we're going to talk about this in another slide, and you have your schedule, I'm going to show you how to introduce yourself to your professor during the summer and get them excited about you being excited about being in their class and heading off to college. That's not brown nosing. That is a formal introduction that I'm the type of student that's going to be a critical thinker. I'm going to be engaged. I'm going to be involved. I look forward to having this class with you. So if you have your schedule, start pulling it out. Start writing down the emails of your professors because we're going to send them a letter. All right? Be familiar with your learning style. This is so critical. Be familiar with your learning style. I'm a visual learner at best. Okay? Memory, not that strong. But I can remember things in spaces and be a visual learner. I'm also a conceptual learner. I like big picture. I got to see big things for me to understand the little things. Okay? I love concepts. I love strategies. I love to be out here. Now, I got to work hard to get to these minor details. But my brain functioned best, because I'm a visionary, of working out here in empty space that's not even accounted for. So here's what I can do. I can take minute things and put them in a concept or framework and put them out in spaces to help it make sense to me. Some of you may like the minor details. You like to dot your I's and cross your T's. You're a hands-on learner, okay? So you need to be in the trenches. You need to get it. Give me my assignment and I do it. I need to know why we're doing that assignment. How does this contribute to my life? What benefit does this have in my future? I had to learn that about me, not just through my undergrad and graduate years. I had to learn that about me as a professional. So be familiar with your learning. Be excited about what's next. COVID-19 shouldn't change the excitement of what is about to take place in your life next. You have to be excited. If nobody else is excited, you have to be excited, because this is a wonderful journey if you're prepared, if you're ready, if you're engaged, if you're involved. This is a wonderful environment. Be excited about what's next. These are all mental things that you need to do before even walking onto a college campus. Okay? But here's the tough part of the conversation. It's called a student profile form. If I was your advisor coaching you, I would sit down and ask you, what's important in your life? What are some of the issues that we haven't talked about? Because what happens is, once you get to college, you have all this excitement, you know your boundaries and limitations, you've reached out to your professors, you have your schedule, you're all ready to go, but nobody talked to you about these issues. I got time management issues. I have emotional health issues. I have spiritual growth issues. I'm struggling with depression. I'm not a very good student, but I made it out of high school and they accepted me into this college. I'm a procrastinator. So you got to ask yourself, why is the conversation important? This is why the conversation is important. You have to say to yourself, I have to have this conversation with someone. I have to have this conversation with someone. Because I have a lot of things that I'm dealing with that's inside of my invisible backpack. I got a backpack that everybody sees, but then I got another backpack that nobody sees. And if you don't have a conversation about that invisible backpack, it's going to show up once you get to college and you leave home. So if you were one of my students, I would ask you to check off which one of these applies to you. Why is this conversation important? It's important for me to have this conversation because I drink alcohol. And I may be teetering on being an alcoholic. Why is this conversation important? I need help with time management. I don't do it very well. So there's a reason why. And remember, this is part of the invisible backpack. These things go to college with you. You've learned to suppress them. They didn't show their face in high school because you were surrounded with love and family and support and friends you grew up with since grade school. But now you're out on your own. And when your insecurities kick in, or your apprehensions kick in, or your stress kick in, or you're a little nervous, here come these other things from this invisible backpack. And you didn't know you brought it with you because you believed that you left it at home. I'm done with that. I'm over that. Listen, there are a lot of students that I've worked with in 20 years who would come to my office and explain to me there's something from their past that keep haunting them. It's something that keeps creeping up in their spirit. There's something that's stopping them. This is an important conversation to have. All right? If you have questions while we're doing the session, type them in, okay? And I will respond to your questions after the session, okay? I promise. I promise. Remember, this is just a 6-week course, and we're just kind of breezing through some things, but it's going to get you headed in the right direction. I promise you that, all right? Now, student audit. What do I need to do to be successful? What do I need to be successful? Student audit. So, let's think about it. We've looked at our foundation a little bit. We get this invisible backpack that we talked about that we got to have a conversation before August. It's because we don't want to show up on campus and have not had this conversation with dad or mom or grandparents or whoever's providing care for you. Then you got to say to yourself, right now, what do I need to be successful? Some people need family around to be successful. If you live in North Carolina, and you need family around to be successful, I wouldn't enroll and go to a school in California because you may not have family there. So if you need family, you need to enroll in a college that will keep you at a fair distance between you and your family. If you're okay with being away from your family, but you need friends, I need my friends, all right? Because y'all probably have already made the decision, let's go to the same school. It can be wonderful if the relationship is aggressive, advantageous, and beneficial. But if you're around a whole bunch of friends who are going to pull you down and still bring mess from high school with you to college, I'm not sure you need them to be successful. So you got to have a mature conversation, almost like two families coming together to have this conversation that our son and daughter or our two daughters are going to college, and we need to have a conversation about this friendship. Because jealousy kicks in. You get to college and one friend meet a whole bunch of other people and they become close with. Now they're not hanging out with the high school friend. So now there's tension. But guess what? You're roommates. Now there's not talking to each other and all kind of silliness. You have to be careful of what is your formula. What are the ingredients for you to be successful? Let's say you need counseling. If you need counseling, if you have counseling in high school, don't graduate from that counselor and get to college and say, well, I don't need it anymore. When you arrive on campus, know where the counseling center is located. Know where your help is needed, where it's at, okay? You have to know that. You may not make an appointment, but you do need to know where it's at. There's no shame in saying, I need to schedule an appointment because I want to keep the conversation going. There's no shame in asking one counselor to speak with your college counselor to kind of close the gap. A lot of students fail or they're not successful in college because they don't want to walk in the shame of what their life is really like. So instead of speaking up, they suppress what they're dealing with and what they're going through, okay? Let's say to be successful, you need a safe haven. There are student services staff on every college campus. So if you need a safe haven place and professors don't have time because they're lecturers, they're teachers, and only hours they have available for you is maybe advising and helping you with your schedule. If you can't reach your academic professor or advisor, you need to reach out to someone in student affairs, which is counseling, student activities, career services, multicultural center, residence life, all of these departments, religious life. You need to connect with someone in student services so you can have a safe haven. Because if you need that in your personality, if you need that to be successful, you can't just go cold turkey and cut it off from high school. You got to pick up that same nurturing, fostering environment in college. Okay? These are just a few ideas. But you need to do the student audit. What do I need to be successful? All right? Now, here's the fun part. I hope you can see this. And I also, I'm going to clean up some slides, but I'm going to send them to you and so that you can have these examples or you can go back and watch the entire video. But let's say you have your college schedule. And whether you're at home this fall or you attend physically on a college campus, you need to email your professor a letter introducing yourself. I talked about this in the very beginning of our session. This just reads as an example. Dear Professor, I'm contacting you to personally introduce myself. I'm enrolled in your 9 a.m. marketing class on Tuesday and Thursday. I'm excited about the learning opportunity we will share this semester. This year, I am working closely with the LEAD program through the leadership office. This example says, 1, I look forward to meeting you. 2, I'm aware of what time our class is and what days our class is on. I'm excited about the learning opportunity that we will share. That means I'm committed now to coming in to mutually exchange information, okay? It's not the banking concept of education. I'm going to come in and just sit in the back and you're going to teach me. I'm actually coming in engaged, involved, and ready. That means I've looked ahead on my syllabus and I'm ready to engage with you and share in this experience. Also notice in the letter, this year I'm working closely with the LEAD program through the leadership office that tells the professor that I have another attribute. I have some other skill sets. I'm connected in another way on campus. That's good background because now it says what you bring to the campus classroom environment. Okay? It also says you have some other qualities about you that the professor may be able to lean on, whether you be an assistant for the professor. Maybe you do an intern for the professor. Okay? They don't get the full profile of all students. But this is a place in your introduction letter where you can kind of share with the professor of all of the things that you are involved in. Not all, forgive me. It can be just some. We don't want the resume. Okay? But I trust and believe that professors will receive this letter and be excited that there's an engaged student who contacted them this summer. That's amazing. And already excited whether I'm at home learning or I'm on campus learning. All right? Here we go. Now, this is some preliminary work that you need to do. It's developing a learning committee. Your professors that you have on your schedule are not your professors. Let's change the language. They're your learning committee. And every semester, you will have a new learning committee. So collectively, they are responsible for this shared experience with you in the classroom. At the doctoral level, most doctoral students have to develop a learning committee. I've adopted that language and brought it down to the undergrad level. Because now, when you send that letter to each professor, at some point, we're going to introduce all those professors to each other if they don't know each other to say, hey, I'm in all of your classes. You are my professors. You are my learning committee. So now it changed the mindset that for me to be successful, for me to advance to the next semester, I'm leaning on the leadership from my learning committee. And here's what this does. It allows you to schedule, whether you're at home, because COVID has said students don't return to campus, or you're physically on campus. This allows you to create a schedule on how often you're going to contact each professor or all of the professors. Obviously, if you're on campus, you can have an office visit. But if you're at home because of the virus, then you can email and you can have conference calls. You can't obviously have lunch with them, but you could have a virtual lunch. While they are on a Zoom call with you, having their lunch, you can be on a Zoom call with them, having your lunch. See, don't allow what we're going through to stop you from becoming a successful student. So a lot of the methods and strategies to be successful outside of the classroom, which contributes back to the classroom, you can still do, whether you're on campus or you're at home. So you would just mark down and schedule, it's like almost like a planner, but it's meant for how often and how frequent you contact your learning committee. So important. Here's why. Let's jump ahead. If I'm not doing well in the class, And this is what most college students do. If they're not doing well in a class, they go after getting a D on a paper and they flunk a quiz or whatever. Then they decide, it's week 8 of 15 weeks. I'm going to go see my professor. Now you have to develop a relationship. But the birthplace of the relationship is because you get a D and you fail the test. I would rather have to go see my professor knowing that the birthplace of the relationship was genuine and authentic. And I'm just struggling and seeking help. Most students show up in a professor's office when things are bad. That's reactionary. They know that you're coming only because you're failing. So let's get in front. Let's have a healthy relationship. It's going to take, listen, with COVID-19, it's going to take more creativity and more communication to be successful in college. I'm going to say it again. It's going to take more creativity and more communication, more commitment from you. So if you're an introvert, this may be a little challenging for you. But then again, an introvert would say, I love it because I work all behind a computer. I ain't got to see nobody. I ain't got to face nobody. If you're an extrovert, it could be challenging because you need people and see people. So you may do everything in Zoom. As much as you can, you may do it through Zoom because you need to see faces. So it just depends. I don't want you to jump into your sunken place because you don't have the luxury of having a traditional experience. You now get to create the experience, and that's what I really love. Because you're basically an independent learner. You're taking an independent study, which means I'm not necessarily on campus. I have a syllabus, but I can be creative in how I reach my goals now. And I'm trying to give you some tips that will help you, okay? So you just make a schedule, and you can do this in a planner. All right, this is just a little template for you to allow you to set up these conference calls, these emails, the Zoom conference call, etc. All right? What else we got? Now, I think this is the last slide for our first session. Remembering the best you. What was the last time you remember being at your best? When was the last time you remember being at your best? How would you describe that day, week, or moment? What was going on in your life at that time? What emotions do you remember and why? If that time is now, how are you handling the moment? Remembering the best you. I want to help you with something. I want you to just take 30 seconds and remember when you were the best you, when you were the best student, when you were the best athlete, when you were the best son, when you were the best daughter, nephew, niece, friend. What was going on in your life in that moment? That's what I want you to hold dear to your heart. What did it feel like? What was the family like? Was it chaos in your life? Was there a calm in your life? Because it's so important you to understand how you work best. If I'm looking for the best version of you, I want you to remember when the last time you've had one of those moments. And how can we recreate it so the best version of you shows up every day? I'm going to give you an example. I'm a morning person. Love getting up, love opening my eyes, just love it. Happy, feeling good, rarely feel bad. But I'm pretty excited every morning. Okay? So I have a good kickoff. Now, things come my way throughout the day that kind of, knock me off keel a little bit or whatever. All right? But when I have that great morning, I'm able to deal with the things that come my way a little better. Now, I have a high level of emotional intelligence. I can manage my emotions very well. And this took a lot of work. So things that come up in my life, my family life, my kids' life, my wife's life, they don't close in on me because I'm able to manage those things. So where did I get that from? Well, I had to dig back into my past when I was growing up. And what I understood is when there was chaos in the family, I was able to process the chaos in a different way so that I can continue to stay on the track I was on. I can be at my very best regardless of what was going on in my household, regardless what was going on in my extended family. I was able to just navigate through that because I had a focus that was kind of relentless. So I learned in my life now that it was when I was younger that I was able to work through chaos. I was able to work through emotions and feelings. Not that I didn't feel or didn't have emotions, but I was able to function in those things where others were falling apart and cussing and going off and all. That I didn't have that. So I grab hold of that younger Leon and say, now this is my strength. That I don't pop off. I'm a thinker. I'm a processor. I can show aggression without being angry. I can compete football, basketball, and still love you and like you. And still want to destroy you. So I had to, at the age I'm at now, I had to come to this place of understanding that it was through my upbringing that I learned this about me. So the best version of Leon is when there's chaos. Let me help you. When I first started in my profession, I was first hired as a director of multicultural affairs and assistant football coach at Ohio Northern University. And I began to ask myself why. I got the football aspect because I played football and I loved the program, and it would be awesome to be a college football coach and give back, right? I got that part. I didn't get the multicultural affairs part until my mentor, Dr. Howard Ward, and Coach Tom Kaskowski explained to me that you're the perfect model. You've had the perfect experience to help others from inner city come through their inner city public education and be successful at a prestigious, small, private liberal arts institution, predominantly white. And we're going to call it multicultural affairs because you've made the transition from your inner city world of blackness to this predominantly white institution, and you graduated in 4 years. And you didn't even have the high school background and education that prepared you for it, but for some reason you made it through and you've gained a lot of friends. You're the perfect person to help others make it through this system called college. So I learned even through my profession that God was allowing me to operate in the space of tension. Racism, bias, discrimination, prejudice. And my job, because I have this from my upbringing of working through chaos, I was listening to the noise. I was experiencing the noise myself, but I was able to work through it. That wasn't a skill set from 18 years old to 21 years old that I had developed and harnessed. That was a skill set that was prepared when I was younger. So even as a professional today, even as a husband and a father today, I can work through things because I pull from this upbringing. What is my point for you? To be the best you is to examine you, to know your strengths and weaknesses. Even at the age of 17 and 18, you can now start digging your past and say, wow, that's when I was at my best. What was going on when I was at my best? The family was actually out of control, or I was single, or I was playing a sport. When were you at your best you? That's going to help you in the next 4 years of your life. I hope you send me some questions. I'm excited about the next 5 weeks. I'll do my best of bringing you information, real time, real issues, real methods, real strategies to really help you be successful in college. Okay? Hey, I'm excited. Get excited. Tell friends. Invite others in. Every Sunday, 6 o'clock, we're going to dig in and we're going to have this conversation. Once again, our next session will be July 5th. All right, 12th, 19th, 26th, and then August 2nd. All right? All right. Take care. God bless.